very good evening to you, and you're very welcome to the main event. We're back at Croke Park for the final round of the All-Ireland qualifiers, and as you said, it's one of the main contenders against one of the pretenders. Cork against Down, last year's champions against beaten finalists. A mouth-watering prospect in store for us all. But before the fun starts, let's take a look at how the teams are lining out. And Cork have made some late changes. Conor Coonahan has picked 11 of the team that started against Down here last September and makes 3 changes to the side that lost the recent Munster final. Number 20, Owen Cadigan, is a late addition. He's in for Jamie O'Sullivan. And number 18, Owen Cotter, replaces Graham Canty, who we do believe failed a late fitness test just before the start here. Plus, influential forward Kieran Sheehan is out for the rest of the season, so Fintan Gould is promoted from the bench to start at number 10. Michael Shields is now captain in Canty's absence. He's selected at full back, with the all-star Paddy Kassan lining up on the left side of the Cork defence. Up front, the dynamic duo of Daniel Goulding and Donncha O'Connor are joined by Paul Kerrigan in a full forward line that bristles with potential. Down manager James McCartan, he's made 1 late change as well to the team that beat Antrim by 12 points last weekend, and 10 of these side also started last year's All-Ireland final. Number 25, Danny Hughes, replaces Liam Doyle, and McCartan also makes 1 surprise positional change from 7 days ago, as Anton McCardle moves from corner back to number 9, where he'll partner the imposing Callum King. Down's defence is fairly settled, but their attack has been given something of a makeover. Centre forward Mark Poland, along with Coulter, Clark and the late addition Danny Hughes, they're the survivors from that All-Ireland final last September, with Paul McComiskey named on the bench. And there you can see the respective subs benches. Graham Canty wearing 3 in there among the Cork subs, while on the downside, keep an eye for number 24, Ambrose Rogers. An unused sub last weekend against Antrim, has played though in a couple of recent challenge games, and we do expect to see him before the evening is out. Well, it's a beautiful evening here on Jones's Road for the round 4 All-Ireland qualifier. Just the 3rd time in the history of the championship that these 2 teams have met. First blood back in '94 went to Down in an All-Ireland semi-final last September. Well, we all know how that panned out. And here they are again. Second chances in this year's championship, as we stand for the national anthem with the Artane band. Scene set for a fascinating contest. Paul Early, late changes on both sides. Your impressions?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a mighty battle here today. Conditions are perfect. There's quite a bit of tension in the air, even though the crowd isn't that spectacular. But the late changes will have an impact. It will test, obviously, the strength of the benches in both sides. And I think Down will point to the fact that with only 30% possession at midfield in last year's All-Ireland final, they were still within a point of Cork at the end. So if they can gain parity there, and today, of course, they have Ambrose Rogers and Peter Fitzpatrick, who started last year's final, in the bench. So they have plenty of ammunition to bring on if required. But of course Cork as well played the second half against Kerry. Tremendous performance, and if they can carry that form in here today, they'll be very, very difficult to beat.
Well, there have been a plethora of positional switches on the Down team, including in your picture number 3, Dan Gordon has gone to midfield to partner Callum King. Down playing in their change strip of all black with red collars and cuffs. Cork have changed as well. They'll wear all white, same colours they wore when they won the All-Ireland here last September. A referee from the Enniscrone Kilglass Gaels in County Sligo, Michael Duffy, gets this game underway. Down will play from left to right in this first half, defending Hill 16 and hoping, I'm sure, to make a good positive start, get into this game quickly, and maybe, just maybe, give Cork something to think about. Of course, Cork have started so many big matches in the last 12 months in second gear, gave themselves too much to do. Munster final, they too will be looking to hit the ground running. Kerrigan releasing the unmarked Pádraig Kazan. It all looks so easy for the left half back, and that's the lead for Cork inside the first minute. The all-star Pádraig Kazan totally unmarked, and he takes his point in real style.
Yeah, and again, that all came from Danny Hughes. Won a free, gave a short pass to his colleague, but it was less than the required 13 metres, and referee gave the free the other way. Cork counter-attacked at pace, and Pádraig Kazan, as he's done so often, moved from the wing half-back position right up the field to kick a good point, a good start for Cork.
Well, Anton McArdle has now gone back into midfield alongside Callum King. It looks like Declan Rooney has gone to centre-back, where he's picking up Pearse O'Neill, and they're the switches that caught our eye. There are an awful lot of them as James McCartan and Conor Coonahan try to outwit each other. Chance here for the equaliser. Up supporting the attack was Conor Garvey, and the left back from down, not to be outdone. He's tied the game up after 90 seconds. Fine score.
Fine score, and saying to Pádraig Kazan, what you can do, I can do also, on a great score again. Marty Clark winning the ball inside, of course. We were wondering if the matchup would be the same as the All-Ireland final last year. It certainly is. Noel O'Leary tight to Martin Clark, but Martin Clark giving the assist on that occasion. Good response from down.
I notice also Michael Shields, who's slotted into full back for Cork. He's picking up Benny Coulter, and that ball is hammered into the space in front of Coulter, behind Clark. He takes it well in his stride, and Martin Clark, lovely finish. Down lead after a couple of minutes. Clark escaping from O'Leary, who held him scoreless from play, remember, in the All-Ireland last September. He's opened his account here after a little over 2 minutes. And
playing in a slightly different role than we've been used to seeing him last year, playing in the little edge of the triangle, playing about 30 yards out from the goal, and two players inside. So he's playing a bit closer to goal, which is what Senan talked about before the game.
In case you joined us late, couple of changes on both sides. Conor Coonahan has started Owen Cadogan and Owen Cotter, the Douglas teammates in the Cork full back line. And down have gone with Danny Hughes from the start in place of Liam Doyle. This is John Miskela. Pearse O'Neill, he's lost his man. He's on the move. O'Neill, brilliant save by McVeigh to tip it up and over the bar. Pearse O'Neill thundering through the centre. Again, nobody picking him up, and McVeigh had to be smart.
Well, what a fantastic opening. 4 points in less than 3 minutes. Pearse O'Neill, as he's done so often, picks up those great positions, running right through the middle. Kicked it a little bit high, ideal for a goalkeeper, but notwithstanding that, Brendan McVeigh made a magnificent save to tip it over the bar.
He was aiming for the roof of the net, and the fingertips of Brendan McVeigh pushing it up and over the bar. The sides level here at Croke Park. We've had a frantic start to this game, and as we expected, that midfield battleground packed inside the 245. Now, the Cork player down off the ball. Referee Michael Duffy is letting them play away. Clark to McArdle, back to Coulter, trying to wrap his foot around that ball. First wide of the match comes from the boot of Benny Coulter, and it's Noel O'Leary who's down, and by the looks of things, most certainly was in the wars.
Absolutely, there was certainly an off-the-ball incident there between himself and Martin Clark. I have to say, I didn't see it in real time, and he's got quite a bad gash over the eye, so referee calling over Martin Clark at this stage. Perhaps an umpire has seen something.
Well, Michael Duffy let the play continue, let the move develop. Now he's gone back to speak to Martin Clark, and depending on what was seen by a linesman, an umpire, or maybe indeed the referee himself, that will dictate the colour of the card. Yellow for the down playmaker, and it's very early in the match to be in the referee's notebook, and Noel O'Leary is having to leave the field to receive some attention. Well, all week long it was one of the matchups that everybody was talking about. O'Leary's a tenacious defender, and Martin Clark and O'Leary tangling inside the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, and on the two previous occasions in the final last year, Noel O'Leary did a very good marking job, and in the league, as when he came on in the league game in Torquay Rin earlier on, he also did a very, very good job. So perhaps a bit of familiarity breeding contempt in this occasion. Martin Clark laying down the law very early.
Well, Cork have brought in number 23, Dennis O'Sullivan, as a blood sub, as John Miskela again tries to run at the heart of the down defence, trying to thread it through towards Goulding. Ball broke into his path, and now Cork will look for some space. Nothing on for Fintan Gould inside, goes back outfield to Paddy Kelly, and Paul Kerrigan with the final shot. It went right across the face of the goal. And that is Cork's first wide. Well, Cork, in theory, should be well rested and recuperated after a 3-week break since the Munster final. Down and James McCartan, well, they've been very busy men this summer. 3 games in the All-Ireland qualifiers in the last 4 weeks, keeping them occupied. They've built up a head of steam, got some momentum, and they're really throwing the ball around with great confidence here early on. Martin Clark, he's got Owen Cadigan for company. Clark kicking under no real pressure, but didn't get a hold of that ball. And now it's Paddy Cassan outside to Dennis O'Sullivan. Quite a surreal, subdued atmosphere here at Croke Park on what is a beautiful evening for a game of football. Not a puff of a breeze as Kerrigan races across to the right-hand side, leaves the first man for dead, puts the boot to the floor. Little tug on the jersey there by Aidan Brannigan. And that's a free into Cork. First chance for Paul Kerrigan there to open his shoulders and take on that down full back line.
And we saw Paul Kerrigan do that to great effect in the Munster final in the second half in particular. That's one of his big attributes. When he sees a bit of space in front of him, he has the ability to accelerate away from defenders, run in a straight line, and if he doesn't finish himself, he generally wins a free.
So Daniel Goulding, man who scored 9 points in the All-Ireland final last year, he's just opened his account. Brings his tally for the summer now to 2 goals and 16 points, moves him on to outright third in the overall rankings. And that's the lead for Cork after a little over 7 minutes. Possession won by Aidan Walsh. Now Fintan Gould, again they're down defence, a little slow in closing him down. Gould going for the score, just misjudged it, and that's a second wide for Cork. But they're winning possession, moving it on quickly, and their pace really has been a feature of the first 8 minutes.
Certainly has, and we saw there that Aidan Walsh won a first ball in the air. And it's a big challenge for Anton McCardle. He's moved out now to midfield. Dan Gordon's moved back into cornerback, marking Daniel Goulding. Dan came out and just contested the throw-in at midfield, and McCardle, who was on the under-21 team a couple of years ago, has a big task ahead of him on Aidan Walsh today.
Martin Clark drifting half-forward line. Cadigan still with him as Noel O'Leary prepares to come back into the match. Good pass to bring Anton McCardle into the game. Alan O'Connor was one side of him, Dennis O'Sullivan the other. Down of lost possession. And now Paddy Cassan in the shadow of the Hogan stand. Quick look up to spot Paul Kerrigan, just on a slightly different wavelength to Alan O'Connor. And down have the ball back. Mark Poland wearing 11 but sharing the playmaking duties with 2 or 3 players. Looking for Coulter, but Shields read that perfectly, played from the front. And here is Michael Shields again. Cork, as you'd expect, composed and confident on the ball, and Aidan Walsh has picked out the run of Donncha O'Connor. Coming off his shoulder is Kelly. Just one man to aim at inside the 45. That's Fintan Gould looking for him. Daniel Goulding being shadowed all the while by Dan Gordon. This is Fintan Gould. Off his shoulder comes Alan O'Connor, rides the challenge of Garvey, but rushed the shot. 3 wides for Cork. They're creating chances all right, but not taking them.
Yeah, not taking them there. It was a wonderful drilled pass from Aidan Walsh right into Donncha O'Connor, but who won it on the edge of the D. But from there, Cork had 6 or 7 hand passes and again got it to the wrong player. Alan O'Connor had a terrific second half in the Munster final, got a great point, but is not noted for his shooting ability, and shot under a bit of pressure and kicked it narrowly wide. Cork will want to get the ball to the shooters, the Gouldings and O'Connor and Kerrigan, Paddy Kelly also, if they're going to be effective in this game.
Alan O'Connor claiming possession. Very impressive in the second half of the Munster final against Kerry. Plays his club football with St. Columns in West Cork. And today coming up against Anton McCardle. Daniel Goulding, lovely ball to O'Connor. Beautiful finish. Donncha O'Connor has just struck his 3rd goal of the championship season. Quick thinking by Goulding, who delivered a defence-splitting pass, and O'Connor did brilliantly.
Well, that has got to be the pass of the season. Here, he had nothing to aim for, just inside Gerard McCartan. Donnacha O'Connor made just a little run inside. He had to find an inch perfect pass and he kept it low underneath the goalkeeper. A fantastic pass, a fantastic score. A huge boost to Cork at this stage in the game.
Noel O'Leary's back into the game, but that goal from Donnacha O'Connor has really blown this match wide open. He's built up a really good relationship with Daniel Goulding in that full forward line over the last 18 months. But that pass from Goulding was right out of the top drawer. And nothing wrong with O'Connor's finish either. It's his second goal from open play this summer, his third of the championship. And now all of a sudden, Cork have got some real daylight between themselves and Down. Brendan McVeigh beaten and really knew very little about it. Now Danny Hughes. Down will look to respond as quick as they can. Coulter running to the left. Instead he goes short. This is Mark Poland. Now Coulter peeling around the outside, skips past Aidan Walsh. Down need a score and Coulter clips it up and over the bar. That's Down's first score for over 10 minutes. And they really did need that just to stem the tide.
Yeah, and what made that score was the angles of running, the support play from the forward line. A lot of the passes were right in that area in front of the goal where there's a lot of Cork defenders, but because they were running at different angles, Benny was eventually able to take the ball at an angle, running at pace and kick the ball over the bar. Important for Cork, important score for Down at this stage.
Conor McGinn in to win that break from Alan Quirke's kick out, and Conor Laverty is out in front of Owen Cotter, buzzing around that attack. Clark back to McGinn, just sitting in the pocket. McGinn with the outside of his right. He's caught it beautifully. One of the scores of the match by Conor McGinn. Plays his club football with Bryansford. He's worked hard to get into the starting 15. And a score like that shows you just why he's in there. Back to 2 points.
And again, assist from Martin Clark, going one way, giving it to Conor McGinn, going the other way. Defence splitting move and with the outside of the foot. Very difficult skill to execute, but kicked it very effectively over the bar.
Kick out flicked on by Aidan Walsh, but won by Conor Garvey. Down are crowding Cork out, packing that third with half backs and half forwards, but the pass from Danny Hughes was misstruck. Danny Hughes, who's back in the Down team again today, missed their last couple of matches with a hamstring problem, but such an integral part now of that half-forward line machine. Again, Cork go long. Donnacha O'Connor, he's out in front of Gerard McCartan, looking to take him on. Support a little slow in arriving. Fintan Gould now takes the pass and from point-blank range strokes it over the bar. His first point. Cork restore that 3-point cushion again. Good score from Gould.
Yeah, but what's noticeable as well is that Donnacha O'Connor is out in front, 2 and 3 metres ahead of his marker, Gerard McCartan. And not only has he got the goal, but he's also showing for the ball out in the full forward line, and he's the link player. And James McCartan, it might be worthwhile James McCartan taking a look or having a word with the defender to play a little bit more out in front.
Fine take by John Miskela from Ballincollig. Hits the ground running and makes a good 30 yards. Now this is Daniel Goulding. Nothing on inside, instead Cork work it out into the hands of Paddy Kelly. Just showed it to McKernan, then took him for a run, and Paddy Kelly stylishly pops that over the bar. He has such an array of tricks and skills. Paddy Kelly can kick equally well off either side, and that time he sold a little dummy with his eyes and took his score on the run. Double scores.
Double scores, and at this stage the whole of the Cork half-forward line have scored from play. Fintan Gould, a good point with his left foot earlier on. Paddy Kelly there, Pierce O'Neill getting in the game very effectively. Half-forward supporting the Cork, or the half-back supporting the Cork half-forward line as well. And so far, quite even around the middle of the field. Probably Cork shaded it a little bit, but Down responded well to that Cork goal and a point when they went 4 up, but Cork back on top again.
Well, Daniel Goulding it is who's down injured. 15 minutes gone, plenty to talk about. Let's hear what Peter Canavan has made of the first quarter of an hour.
Well, once again, it's Cork's dominance in around the middle has given Down serious problems, and James McCartan is going to have to consider his full back line as well. Donnacha O'Connor scored a great goal. He set up the last score, so there's going to have to be changes made. But both teams playing really very much as selected. O'Connor and Goulding playing up front with Kerrigan in front, and likewise down have Conor Laverty and Benny Coulter in the full forward line, and Marty Clark is just sitting off them.
And here is Danny Hughes once more trying to inject some pace into this attack. Nothing wrong with the hamstring as he takes Aidan Walsh on the outside and scores a beautiful point. Well, of the total of 110 we've had in this match, 1-9 has come from play, and Danny Hughes back to his very best.
Yeah, and it's very noticeable. Whichever side wins the possession around the middle of the field is very, very dangerous going forward. Forward certainly well on top at this stage on both sides, and it's all about getting quick possession into the inside line, and Benny Coulter will be looking for more ball in there because he'll feel that he has the measure of Michael Shields if he gets enough quality ball inside.
Mark Poland was who emerged with possession, and once more he brings Martin Clark into the game. So much of Down's moves go through the hands of Clark. He's looking for Coulter, who's rode the challenge of Shields. Thought about taking him on the inside instead. Back to Poland, and that's a lovely score. Mark Poland from Longstone, the centre half forward, just arriving in the right place at the right time. Credit to Coulter though, took the right option. 2 points between them.
Yeah, great attacking displays from both sides, and Benny doing the right thing, cutting outside. And we said a moment ago that all the Cork half forward line had scored from play. Well, again, whatever you can do, we can do better. The Down half forward line, Danny Hughes, Mark Poland and Conor McGinn all have got on the score sheet at this stage.
Well, on paper it looked the standout round 4 qualifier. So far so good. Cork, the All-Ireland champions, 2 points in front. That's a foul on Paddy Kassan, and every chance Cork's half-back line get, they're not afraid to push on, try and create some overlaps, and that time it was Kassan who was fouled, and by the looks of things Paul Kerrigan who's going to take the free. Daniel Goulding is down on his knees in near the edge of the square. Looks like that injury he picked up maybe a little earlier, he's struggling to shake it off, and it looks like Goulding's in real trouble as the shot comes in from Kerrigan. That's Cork's 4th wide, but a much bigger concern is the sight of Daniel Goulding, Paul, who's in all sorts of trouble.
No, he doesn't look good at all, and that'll be a massive blow if he has to come off, because having lost Colin O'Neill earlier in the Cruciate and Kieran Sheehan in the Munster final, they would be 3 of the first named players, I suppose, or 2 certainly of the 3 of them would be on the first 6 of any forward line that you would pick. So it's really going to test the strength and depth of the Cork bench at this stage, and they haven't got too many well-known or renowned forwards on that bench at this stage.
For the moment, Cork down to 14 players as the medical team tries to work on Daniel Goulding. At the other end, McGinn, lovely little pop pass to Coulter. He didn't even look, and Benny Coulter swings it over the bar, his 2nd point. It's back to a 1-point match, and Down are right into their stride now.
Absolutely, and again it's those angled runs, beautiful pass inside, a very swift hand pass to Benny, who was going in the opposite direction. Almost impossible to mark that type of play, and Benny on the score sheet again. 2 good points from Coulter, and in the game in a big way.
Barry O'Driscoll of Nemo Rangers is getting ready to replace Daniel Goulding. And it was just in that movement he picked up the injury, and that will be a huge blow to Cork, as Paul mentioned, already without Kieran Sheehan and Colm O'Neill due to cruciate ligament injuries. No longer have John Hayes in the panel this year either. And Daniel Goulding, who scored 5 points against Kerry in the Munster final, man of the match in last year's All-Ireland final, he's out of the game after 20 minutes. Conor McGinn, he's put in a good shift in the first 20 minutes. Held onto that ball too long though, according to Michael Duffy. Looked like he'd done the hard part, but shut down very quickly. And Paddy Kelly gets the game moving again for Cork. All the inside men being tightly marked as Pearse O'Neill goes short to Paul Kerrigan. Run through by Aidan Walsh. Instead, it's O'Connor. Pop back to the sub, O'Driscoll. And there was no way through. He's down and staying down. And irony of ironies, Cork have got a free in for, I think, an illegal hand pass. They were claiming they should have had a free initially for the challenge on Barry O'Driscoll. In the end, they got one anyway.
Yeah, well, I think it was so quick. The movement was so quick that I think the down defender, I think it was Gerard McCartan, couldn't actually get out of the way. It was a very swift hand pass, but Dan Gordon gets a yellow card for the second foul. And more worrying for Cork again is that the substitute, Barry O'Driscoll, is down, and now it was a shoulder into the chest. I'll revise that opinion. He had a bit of time, shoulder into the chest, and was lucky not to give away a penalty in that instance. Technically, we saw it last week in the Derry-Donegal game, big controversy in the second half. I think that was a similar incident, so very lucky not to give away a penalty, I have to say.
Well, Dan Gordon has been yellow carded for swinging that right boot a little wildly. Caught Aidan Walsh. That was what the free was awarded for, as Barry O'Driscoll just tries to gather his thoughts. Only been on the field a matter of minutes and felt the full force of Down's Conor Garvey. So in the absence of the injured Daniel Goulding, Donogh O'Connor, fairly straightforward one, and he makes no mistake. That's a point from a free to go with his goal, and Cork lead by 2 points after 22 minutes, but very, very little between them.
Yeah, extremely little between them at this stage, and Donogh O'Connor, the main difference in the forward line, showing for everything. And already James McCartan has made a change, and he's switched Conor Garvey onto him, the wing back who scored a point in the first minute of the game. So be interesting to see if he can tie Donogh O'Connor down, because he's been a very dominant feature of this game so far.
Ball broken down initially by Owen Cadigan, with the break won smartly by Danny Hughes. Now Kevin McKernan picked at centre half back, playing on the wing. This time Down go direct. A contest between Shields and Coulter. The Cork full back had a hand on the jersey of Benny Coulter. Well spotted by Michael Duffy. It's the first time really they've contested a 50-50 ball like that. And Shields a little overzealous in the tackle.
Well, you could see there Benny had held Michael Shields' hand into his chest as well. So maybe a referee got it wrong on that occasion, but maybe justice has been done. And
well, that's a poor miss.
Kicks it wide, yeah.
One of Down's regular free takers during the National League in the spring. Hit 4 points from frees last weekend against Antrim as well, but got that one all wrong. And it remains a 2-point game. Now, where's the marking? Paddy Kelly, all alone. Down players scampering back. Loose man popping up inside. It's Fintan Gould. Chance of a goal. And he's buried it. Fintan Gould popping up in acres of space. And that's his second goal of this summer's championship. Oh, so easy in the end.
What an incredible finish. He just side-footed it into the net, and beautiful, beautiful finish. But as you said, Mike, where was the marking on Paddy Kelly when he waltzed down the right-hand wing and could have kicked the point himself, but was mature enough to flick the pass to Fintan Gould. And interesting, the goalie took a very quick kick out from the edge of the small parallelogram, and the referee 10 metres ahead and didn't pull him back. So lots of technical issues here today.
Well, that's 9 goals now Cork have hit in the championship. That figure boosted by the 5 they put past Waterford in Munster. And this as good as any of the goals they've scored this summer. Yeah,
Paddy Kelly again just held the ball, waited for the player to make the run, and he just literally side-footed it right into the corner. A wonderful, wonderful goal, because there were two, as you can see, 2 down defenders coming across. If he hit it high at all, it was going to be blocked. So a terrific finish.
Black ball! Well, Down pride themselves on their defensive record. They've conceded just 3 goals in their games so far. Kept a clean sheet actually against Antrim last weekend as well. But 2 goals in the first 25 minutes. And now they're 5 points behind. Martin Clark, they need this one. It struck the post. He looked to have curled it in just perfectly. Denied by the upright, and now Cork will try and hit them on the break. This time all the runs seem to be covered. Touched off by Kerrigan into the path of Alan O'Connor. Kassan runs by. Instead, O'Connor goes long, looking for the sub, Barry O'Driscoll. Just got enough on it to knock it back to Pearse O'Neill. player trying to make himself big was Declan Rooney. O'Neill's shot goes across the goal, kept in play. Good play by Donegal O'Connor. Back to Kassan. Ball still in. It hung up there in front of the down goal. And that allows Dan Gordon to take it clear. Well, play ebbing and flowing from end to end in this first half. Conor McGinn, just one man to aim at. That's Coulter, who's in behind Owen Cotter. Well cut out by the young corner back. And now Cork will slow it down and settle back into that rhythm. They're 5 points in front. And now they can dictate the pace and the tempo. Barry O'Driscoll. Fresh legs of the young Nemo man. Back to Alan O'Connor. John Miskela had eyes only for the ball. Down player nipped in. And now Danny Hughes. This is Mark Poland. Well, usually by this stage in a big match, Paul, Cork would be chasing the game. But strangely for once, 5 points in front.
5 points in front, and all down to the 2 goals in particular, because Cork haven't been noted for getting many goals in games over the last couple of years, and when they do, it makes a massive difference, as it has in this game. But a lot of it down to the play of Donegal O'Connor in at full forward as well. He's the option for them inside, and all of the forwards getting on the ball and playing well at the moment.
They've scored 2 goals and 4 points from play so far, Cork. And once more, they patiently build and just have a little nibble around the edge. Aidan Walsh, nothing on, turns onto his right. Dangerous ball for McVeigh. He's left his line and needed to be solid, and was. Good hands by the big goalkeeper from Anoriacht. Well, this was always likely to be a tactical battle as much as anything. And just there in the last few minutes, you could see Cork holding that ball, looking for gaps. And it's at times like that you can see just why they are the reigning league and All-Ireland champions. So much experience on the ball. And now Down it is who must come out and play. Behind.
And credit to Down as well. I think they haven't played with the sweeper inside, and that obviously has contributed to their downfall in the first half, in that there's lots of space in front of goal for the Cork forwards to make runs into and for the half-forward line to run at them. Whereas in the last 5-7 minutes, Cork have thrown a sweeper inside in front of, played an extra player in front of Benny Coulter. He was having an influence in the game, got a couple of points, won a free as well, so they're trying to negate that threat.
Danny Hughes okay to continue. Cork have had to take off Barry O'Driscoll again, who himself came off the bench a little earlier on for Daniel Goulding, but took a big hit soon after arriving into the match, and he's been replaced by Fiachra Lynch, man who started at wing forward against Waterford in the Munster Championship. It's a little over 10 minutes now since Down's last score. Coulter, quick hands to McKernan, thought about driving on, fouled by Michael Shields, and McKernan wants Michael Duffy, I think, to take some action. Looked for a moment like he was going to take his point, then saw some space and decided to push on, and in the end fouled by the Cork fullback, who becomes the second player to be booked.
Yeah, well, that was certainly a professional foul. Kevin McKernan was in on goal, and you can see Michael Shields just puts the hand in and trips him as he's going in. That's lucky just to get a yellow card at that stage, because he was certainly in on goal. But again, it shows I suppose the experience of Michael Shields at this stage, knowing that it's better to give away a free and a point, and taking his chances that the referee doesn't deem it a sending off offence.
Danny Hughes is back in the wars again. Man who won an All-Star last year at wing forward. Late inclusion in the Down team for this game this evening. And I think Michael Duffy anxious that the game get restarted here.
Yeah, just talking about that yellow card again. Yeah, technically, of course, it's the right decision, because to trip an opponent with the hand or the foot is a yellow card. but you know, there are many other yellow cards that have been given, a few already in this game, for offences that are not nearly as serious as that. And obviously, as I said, Kevin McKernan was in on goal, and a huge chance for Down to get back into the game. They'll certainly get a point from here, but some of these professional fouls, maybe in situations like that, would warrant a more penal punishment.
So eventually Martin Clark gets to take that free. That's his second point of the match. Just keeps Down's scoreboard ticking over as we head into the final 4 minutes of normal time at the end of this first half. Big Down contingent have made the trip to Dublin for this match. Of course, it's do or die at this stage of the championship. The prize on offer for the winners, a place in the quarter-final draw tomorrow evening. As Fintan Gould, man who scored Cork's second goal, drops back to fill in around midfield. This is Fiacre Lynch, first touch for the big sub. Once more, there's a man coming off his shoulder, and again it's Fintan Gould. He's enjoyed himself so far. Good ball to Donegal O'Connor, and O'Connor makes no mistake. A goal and 2 points now for the full forward. And in Daniel Goulding's absence, O'Connor is now the go-to man in that full forward line. But again, it was Fintan Gould who created the opening.
Yeah, fantastic team score from Cork on that occasion, but it was a wonderful one-handed catch by Alan O'Connor in the middle of the field that kick-started it from the kick-out, and he got on the ball again in the middle. He's having a great game again, just continuing his great form from the second half against in the Munster final against Kerry, overshadowing his colleague Aidan Walsh at this stage, who obviously is a fine player and was man of the match in last year's final against Down.
Benny Coulter taking that pass from Declan Rooney, who just screened Michael Shields. That gave Coulter a yard, turns onto his right, but didn't catch it cleanly, and the chance was gone. O'Connor. Cork players just going where they're needed, as Donegal O'Connor is caught by the arm of Danny Hughes just as he went by him.
Yeah, here was the previous chance from Benny. Just the goal, had done really well in his previous chances, but on occasions Benny's decision making lets him down a little bit. That was a time when he cut back. The Cork player was coming inside. Probably should have recycled the ball. There were two Down players outside him, and maybe a better opportunity to have a score.
Well, Danny Hughes becomes the fourth Down player to be booked in this first half. Fine catch there by Alan O'Connor, as Paul mentioned. Michael Duffy has handed out 5 in all. Yellow cards so far. Paul Kerrigan just lost Dan Gordon. Nothing on in close to goal. Kerrigan goes for his own score, and he's got it. It was an ambitious kick, to say the least, but there was nothing on in around the square. Kerrigan has been going well this summer. Stole a glance and pops it over.
And he was the only player until then of the starting 6 that hadn't scored, so terrific score from Kerrigan. And Cork again established that 6-point advantage coming into half-time.
James McCartan has taken out Callum King on a yellow card, hadn't really got into the match, and Peter Fitzpatrick is in. Started the All-Ireland final last September at midfield, also started against Armagh in the Ulster Championship, and is back in now to try and form a partnership with Anton McCardle. So the 2 clear goals between the teams now. The first from Donegal O'Connor, the second from Fintan Gould. Danny Hughes, nothing on close to the goal. Instead, Down will have to take the scenic route. Brannigan. Coulter just managed to engineer himself out in front of Shields, and Brannigan continues the run. This is Coulter. Conor Laverty. And now Kevin McKernan. McKernan feels the time is right to have a shot, and McKernan drives it over the bar. Excellent score from the Down half-back. He made the decision He felt enough was enough, and that's a really good score.
Yeah, that's been a feature of Down's play over the last year, 18 months, is that they don't panic. It might look as if they're going down blind alleys. 4 or 5, 6 hand passes there in a very short, a very small space of the field. Supporters wondering where is it going to go next, but again, McKernan got the space that he needed to kick the point, and he's done that so often, come up from the half-back line. He did it last year very effectively in a lot of the games that brought them to the All-Ireland final.
Once again, primary possession won by Alan O'Connor. That sets Cadigan away. And Paul Kerrigan in over the top for Aidan Walsh. Shouldered at the right time by McKernan. And now it's Cork's turn to play possession football. Donegal O'Connor spots the run of Paddy Kelly. Again, he's lost his man. Just seemed to lose the ball there in the sunshine. Kelly goes by Brannigan. Danny Hughes, though, shows him the outside. And now Paddy Cassan. Kept in play by Donegal O'Connor. But once more, nobody in there close to the down goal. And it's Danny Hughes, who's drifted back into that pocket. Long to Peter Fitzpatrick. The fresh legs of the sub to Coulter. Making that run again to the left-hand side, bringing Shields with him. Conor Laverty gives him an option. Instead, Coulter flicks it back towards Fitzpatrick. Michael Duffy, the referee, playing the advantage. Coulter was caught there by a stray hand. This is Martin Clark, followed by the bandaged Noel O'Leary. And that was a poor effort by Martin Clark, and I think Noel O'Leary reminding him of the fact. But Michael Duffy now going back to deal with that Benny Coulter incident, caught by the hand of Alan O'Connor.
Yeah, and if he's going to be consistent, he gave a yellow card, I think earlier on, was it to Danny Hughes for a similar incident, hand across the face. He's got to give the yellow card to Alan O'Connor, because he certainly waved on the advantage. And of course, when he's done that, he can't bring it back for a free. So clearly a yellow card offence.
Michael Duffy has just spoken with his linesman on that far side, David Coldrick, who had a much better view. He saw Alan O'Connor getting involved with Coulter, and that is yellow card number 6 in this game. Benny Coulter there, I think, just checking that everything is where it should be. Well, we've played 3 minutes of stoppage time at the first half. Michael Duffy calls for the ball. This round 4 qualifier has not disappointed. Cork, the All-Ireland champions, out in front at half-time, but it's far from over. The state of play, it's Cork 2 goals and 8 points, down 9 points.
An exhibition of score-taking in a highly entertaining game. We'll have analysis after this.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
To Arthur.
To Arthur. To Arthur. To Martha. To Martha. To farmers. To farmers. To lemons. To Martians. Yeah. To Martians. Chihuahua. To bath time. Typewriter.
Join the Arthur's Day celebrations at 17:59 on the 22nd of September.
Aircom and the GAA. Experience more.
Killarney Summerfest presents Simple Minds, Big Country, Crime Before Dawn, Cactus World News, The Devlins and many more. All live at the INEC this August bank holiday weekend. The Killarney Summerfest. See inec.ie for more.
for free. Deals in your town. livingsocial.com.
So, Jensen, what's on your mind?
Racing. Spacing. Wow, it's bracing.
A cup of tea would be amazing.
Lions.
Rubber.
Stuff that works. Winning! Pit stops. Little perks. Whatever's on my mind with the world's #1 anti-dandruff shampoo, it's not dandruff.
Head and Shoulders, making heads happier.
Take another look at the next motorcyclist you see and ask yourself, who's underneath? He's a dad. He's a brother. He's a son. He's an uncle. He's a best mate. He's for keeps. Now take another look at the fact that just under half of motorcyclist deaths and serious injuries are due to drivers. So take another look for motorcyclists coming from behind. Or when you're turning right. Or when you're coming out of a side road. Before you have to take a look at this. Be bike aware. Take another look. From the Road Safety Authority.
At Quinn Direct, we've got great value motor, home and commercial policies. Plus, we've got a great range of discounts for everyone, from students through to our multi-policy customers. For a great quote, call us today on 1890 89 1890.
Find out ways to weather the storm of the current financial situation with this independent book, Saving and Investing for Life. If you're thinking of putting some money aside, it'll give you all the questions you should ask, where to put it, for how long, and at what levels of risk and return. Discover all your options so you can reap the rewards. This independent book is brought to you by Permanent TSB, and complimentary copies are now available in your local branch. Or text SAVE to 51123.
The same hoarse voices, the same clenched fists, the same words uttered that some sitters missed. The same heads shaken, the same moments replayed, the same excuses given for daft predictions made. The same soaring highs, the same crashing lows, the same oh yeahs, the same oh no's. The same old characters, the same place in the stands, the same mad passions. We're the same, we're fans. Championship every Monday in the Irish Examiner.
Experience more. Aircom, proud sponsor of the GAA Football Championship.
Far more open and entertaining than last year's All-Ireland final. Cork have a 5-point advantage over Down at half-time. The goals from Donegal O'Connor and Fintan Gould have been essential to that lead. But Down keeping in the game, scoring 9 points in that first half. Let's have a look at some of the stats from the first half. As perhaps we'd anticipated, Cork have dominated the possession, 53% of the possession as against 47% for Down. But look as well at the shots to scores. Perhaps Cork could have been doing a little bit better. They have scored 10 out of 18 efforts, whereas Down have had 9 out of 15. Now let's have a look at the timeline in the first half and see which way the momentum swung during the game. And Peter, there we can see Down in the second half did come good after the first key moment of the game for Cork.
Well, the first key moment was obviously the Cork goal. And Down were competing very well, and especially in around the middle, where a lot of people thought that they would have been struggling. But this goal is a perfect example. I suppose we talked about it prior to the match, about the confidence that these Cork players have. Daniel Goulding, what a 40-yard crossfield pass. Great movement inside by Donegal O'Connor. And any forward, when they're through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, you're told to hit it low and hard. And he's done that, and that's what you get for doing it.
Yeah, well, I think that's the most potent forward line that we can see in the country. Donegal O'Connor, Danny Goulding, and all credit to the passing side from Danny Goulding.
And yet he's gone off injured since that. How bad is that news for Cork?
He's a marquee forward, and he's the guy that kicks the frees, and that's from the right-hand side of the park as well. So they are going to struggle without him from frees.
Now, Peter, we can see that Down did respond very well after that blow, but then the second major blow for Cork.
Yeah, Down responded very well and took some excellent scores from play, and then they were hit with the sucker punch. And ironically, it came from the Cork kickouts, which most of them are being hit out the wing, not down the middle as we thought. They've been hit out the wing. And I think Conor Garvey was hard done by because Paddy Kelly actually cheated. He didn't go in for the breaking ball. He stayed back. And when there was, again, a measure of their confidence, when there was an overlap, they went for goal. He wasn't happy to kick it over the bar. And Fintan Gould, who's playing very well, tucked it away nicely.
Was that a Peter Canavan style finish?
No way. Another corner, Matt, but it still hit the back of the net, and Brendan McVeigh could do nothing about it.
What about this? Cork have been criticised previously, Sander, for not scoring goals in big games.
It's an answer to the criticism that's been levelled at them in the last 12 months, that they don't score enough goals, and rather getting 2 in the first half. And the warm-up that they did for 10 or 15 minutes was literally shooting on the keeper there, so it's come true in the game in the first half.
Now, they could perhaps have had another, because there was a penalty call, as Paul Early observed in the commentary.
Yeah, I think Paul called it spot on, because the in-rushing forward was hit with a shoulder to the chest. And now, if that had happened out the field, I've no doubt Michael Duffy would have given a free kick for it. But because it was inside the small square, he was reluctant to give a penalty.
And you can see the reaction of Donegal O'Connor. It was the closest Cork player to him as well. He had 2 hands in the air. He probably didn't realise it was a penalty, but it was right inside the square, so it was a frontal charge, as Peter said.
Cork have been dominant, but how impressed have you been by the way the Down have fought back?
I think the movement up here by the down forwards is very good, and I was impressed at the very start. I thought Marty Clark's going to have a great game, because Noel O'Leary was on him right away. There was a bit of holding, a bit of pulling, and Clark gave him the message that he's not going to stand for it. But since that, Noel O'Leary has come back on, the bandages and all the rest. It hasn't took a flinch out of him. He's up for the battle, and he's got the better of Clark in the last 10 or 15 minutes.
We will have more analysis of this cracking game after this.
Come on, lads. The club needs the money.
Less talking, more scrubbing.
Ulster Bank GAA Force, helping your club matters.
Coca-Cola Zero presents Great Coke Taste, Zero Sugar. Great Coke Taste, Zero Sugar. It's possible.
When you pick up the Star, you're getting an Irish view on things from journalists who are true sports fans just like you. Channeling the spirit of Gaelic games, we've Davy Fitz and Martin McHugh. And if horses set your pulse racing, read Europe's top tipster, Kieran O'Connell. While Eddie Hobbs makes the most of your money, Michael O'Toole is at the front line of Irish crime. And on Celeb Watch, Georgia Salpa reveals all. On every page, in every way, it's part of what we are. We're the Star, and we're better because we're Irish.
It's the Fusion Pro Glide Challenge. Woo! Hello, buddy. How's your shave?
Sometimes it snags. It's grabbing the hair too much.
Shaving may cause uncomfortable tug and pull. That's why Gillette is introducing new Fusion Pro Glide.
Wow, it just doesn't pull. That's gliding.
Now, Fusion Pro Glide has been engineered with Gillette's thinnest blades ever, so it glides for less tug and pull. Turns shaving into gliding and skeptics into believers.
Well, good shave.
New Fusion Pro Glide. Take it, come on! You got bigger. All right, all right.
Do black. Do yellow. But before you do either, do green. Do get your sterling and dollars commission-free at the post office. And because you don't have to order in advance, do be tickled pink.
A message to you.
It's the night, just different. Be inspired by whatever surprises, thrills, whatever. It's your turn. Hugo Just Different, a new fragrance.
As a full-time teacher with the home and children to look after, if anything goes wrong, it can quickly become chaotic. So I need car insurance I can rely on. That's why I'm with Allianz. My advice, never let children distract you when driving.
For your car insurance with Allianz, call 1890 48 48 48.
If you don't have an iPhone, you don't have a phone with a selection of over 40,000 games. From your favourite classics to the latest and greatest. And you don't have Game Centre, where you can find your friends, wherever they are, challenge them to a game, and play head to head to head. Yep, if you don't have an iPhone, well, you don't have an iPhone.
For a few million euro, I'd shave myself with a cutthroat razor and go cage diving for sharks in an old phone box, dressed as an overweight sea.
Anything to become a millionaire when you can just play Lotto. The jackpot's heading for €4 million.
Bring on the provincial finalists. Bring on the counties who have fought their way through the qualifiers. Bring on the roars and shouts of support as the battle for the Liam McCarthy Cup intensifies. The GAA Hurling Championship Sponsored by Etihad Airways, Centra and Guinness. Tickets from GAA.ie and Ticketmaster. Bring it on.
Here in the Rocky Mountains, we know how beer should be served. So when you see those mountains turn blue, you know that what you're about to experience is not just cold, it's Rocky Mountain cold. Coors Light, Rocky Mountain Refreshment.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
So a 5-point lead for Cork at half-time, 2-8 to 9 points. Before the game, Peter, we concentrated on kickouts because Cork did so well last year. What's gone wrong for them today?
Well, he's not hitting them out the middle. Again, something that we expected. We felt that they would be very dominant and strong in that sector because of so many large bodies, 6'3", 6'4" men in round there. He's hitting them out to the wing. His very first kick out was hit over the sideline. But they're persistent with this. It's something that Conor Coonahan wants to work on. And you compare that with the down kickouts. Brendan McVeigh, you know, they were disappointing in last year's All-Ireland final. Look how dominant they are. They've won 9 and they've only lost 5 from their own kickout. So down are winning plenty of possession in there, but they're too slow in getting it from the middle sector up to the danger men.
And so I think we can see now as well how it's cost Cork a couple of scores as well, these kickouts going astray.
Yeah, well, the first one in particular came from a kickout that ended up over the sideline, but it's the sharpness of the play. Down are willing to get on with the ball, and this results in a score basically because Marty Clark was sitting in front of the D at the time. And you know, brisk play is one way to unhinge any defence, and like it's an incisive ball inside to Marty Clark in the run, and he just pops it over the bar. And you know, it's something that's you know, Quick is going to have to be very wary of. If he is playing towards the wing, it has to stay in play.
That's right. And that by Mark Poland, he's excellent distribution, but he's not getting on the ball enough.
No, that's one that went down the middle and was lost as well.
Yeah, what's impressive is Conor McGinn, who's actually wearing number 12 on his back. He's the guy that initially won that kick out. He won the break himself. He took it on. Marty Clark ends up with it here, and it ends up in McGinn's hands, and he pops it over the bar as well. So, you know, he's a guy that stepped into the breach there, and he's adding a bit of weight in around the middle of the park, Conor McGinn.
Down are just about keeping in touch, but what do they have to do now? What can they do off the bench, perhaps, Peter?
Well, they've 2 key players on the bench that I would like to see introduced, and if Ambrose Rogers is anyway fit, he would be some addition to that down team, not only in his ball winning ability, but going forward he poses a real threat. And the other fella, he's 17 years of age, is Caelan Mooney, and they brought him on against Antrim last week. He's highly rated in down, and he lifts the crowd, and he's got pace, and he's a goal getter as well. And if Down have any chance of winning this game, I think they're going to have to hit the net.
And you look at the Cork bench, who are they going to bring on now? They brought on the strength and depth realistically that they have, and you know, in the second half they don't have the Nicholas Murphys and the Derry Cavans and Conor O'Neill.
Well, they've already had 2 substitutions. The substitute, O'Driscoll, had been substituted himself because of injury. But given the criticism that had been made of Cork, Senan, and given the doubts that were raised by the way they lost in Kerry, how well are they answering those today?
They put to bed all the criticism that has been levelled at them, and this idea that they're slow starters. You know, the answers there today in the first 30 minutes of football. They were hungry, they were very intense going forward with the ball, and what they're doing is they're playing Cork football at its best, which is playing off the shoulder. They're driving from deep, particularly from that half-back line, and there's plenty of movement inside. It worked perfectly for the first 20 minutes, playing Paul Kerrigan in front of Donegal O'Connor and Daniel Goulding, and you know, they don't have to change in the second half.
Yeah, the referee's blowing his whistle, McCartan is keeping these down men, and he's telling them, boys, this is it, this is the last chance, it's now or never. And the likes of Marty Clark, you know, he may not be, this could be his last game for Down, so he'll want a big response from them, and they have to go at it.
We're going back to our commentary team of Paul Early and Mike Finnerty.
Thanks, Matt. Welcome back. Down just back out on the field. Cork standing around for the last couple of minutes, just familiarising themselves with their surroundings. The attendance, the official attendance at least, confirmed at half-time as 31,072 people, but by the looks of things, as we scan around Croke Park, quite a lot of those people have left at this stage. Of course, Kildare beating Derry in the first qualifier match here, 19-13 it finished, and quite a lot of those supporters now well on their way home as the second half gets underway. Down playing an all-black strip from right to left into Hill 16 and chasing down a 5-point deficit against the All-Ireland champions, who have started without their captain Graham Canty and lost Daniel Goulding midway through the first half with an ankle injury. So we'll find out over the next 35 minutes or so what Down are made of. Can they get back into this match and stay in the championship. McGinn handled an awful lot of ball in the first half, giving it short to Mark Poland. And once more, Down settle into that familiar short passing pattern. McGinn resets it for Martin Clark. And Clark drops his shoulder and wins his free. Well, it's not always the most exciting football in the world to watch, that slow, methodical build-up. But it's all about getting the ball into the hands of the likes of Martin Clark. And that time, he got what he came for.
All the way back, all the way back.
He's hit 2 points in the match so far. One from a free. That same familiar run-up. And he pops it over the bar. Remains to be seen just how much longer he'll be playing in the Down colours, Martin Clark. A lot of speculation that he may be heading back down under with Collingwood and the AFL in perhaps the months to come. One man who is set to travel to Australia, of course, Down sub Caelan Mooney. Peter Canavan mentioning him at half-time there as a player he'd love to see come into this match. Good ball from Poland to pick out Fitzpatrick. Chance of a goal. Fine save by Alan Quirk. Had to earn his corn there, the Cork goalkeeper. Comes to Coulter, who looked to throw that ball more than anything in the direction of Conor Laverty. In any event, it's gone wide.
Yeah, huge opportunity for Down there. And the difference again between Cork and the scoreline in this game, Cork in the first half, 2 chances, went low on both occasions, got goals. Peter Fitzpatrick kicked it at a perfect height. Great save by Alan Quirk, but a perfect height for the goalkeeper. And again, you know, the daisy cutters, very difficult for goalkeepers of that size to. And a great opportunity for Down to get back in the game has been missed.
Cork win possession from their own kick-out. Paddy Kissan into the arms of Paddy Kelly, who's being picked up by Aidan Brannigan. The Down defence working overtime on this balmy Saturday evening here at Croke Park. Paul Kerrigan puts on the afterburners, goes past his man, but a poor final shot, and that's 5 wides now for Cork in this game. Conor Coonahan and his management team, they've had a busy evening, as has this man, James McCartan. Both managers thinking on their feet right from the very start. So much movement on and off the ball, so many tactical decisions to be made as Alan O'Connor, who has been the dominant figure at midfield, wins that free. His midfield partner, Aidan Walsh, went down off the ball, but no action taken. Gould, he's really flying, looking for another score. Good tackle came in from Conor Garvey. But the Down crowd now trying to get behind their team. Half an hour or so to go. Brendan McVeigh, the all-star goalkeeper, smacking it right down the centre. O'Connor jumping with Anton McCardle, and the break won by Fiachra Lynch. This is Paddy Kelly. Loose man who'd stolen down the field. Alan O'Connor did well to find some space. Not noted as a scorer. Gives it to a much better marksman, Donegal O'Connor. It's tight. It looked very close from here. The umpire's given it. There wasn't much in it, but it snuck inside that post. And Donegal O'Connor has now hit a goal and 3 points.
And again, the Down defence not picking up the runners on that occasion. It was Alan O'Connor who had drifted free on the right-hand side, picked up a pass from Paddy Kelly, did the right thing, soloed into the defence and gave a little pass back to Donegal O'Connor.
So the All-Ireland champions 5 points in front again. McVeigh looking for Peter Fitzpatrick. The second ball won by Danny Hughes. This time Aidan Brannigan decides to let the ball in towards Conor Laverty. He's got Owen Cotter with him. Laverty just trying to deliver a little cushioned pass to Benny Coulter, but Shields was alive to that. And that will go down as another wide for Down.
The Down substitution.
So James McCartan has decided it's time to put Caelan Mooney into the match. The young teenager is replacing Danny Hughes. And I know, Paul Early, this is a young man you're really looking forward to seeing here this evening.
Absolutely, yeah. He's won a couple of colleges titles with the schools in Coleman's and a Down minor, and also has got, as you said earlier on, Mike has got a contract with the Collingwood football team in Australia. Goes out, I think, later on this year for a 2-year rookie contract, and from what I've read, they're very, very impressed with him and very hopeful that he could be the outstanding Irish player that has been recruited over the last number of years. So looking forward to seeing him in action here today.
This is his third taste of senior championship action, as Fiacre Lynch, who came off the Cork bench during the first half, has a pot at goal. 7 wides for Cork, but they're keeping Down at arm's length. And here's that point for Donncha O'Connor. It was borderline, Paul, to say the least. Yeah, but the umpire was in the absolutely correct decision. Maybe it looked as if it tailed just inside the post and went outside as it had gone over. So the umpire in the right position, and he's the right person to give the decision. Owen Cadigan, free of hurling commitments now, concentrating on the big ball and giving it inside to O'Connor. No doubt about this one. Beautifully done by Donncha O'Connor. He's starting to hit a little match now. Once more, he got out in front of his man. Cadigan it was who broke the line, and he hit that right on the sweet spot.
Well, it's amazing what a year and the confidence of an All-Ireland victory can do, because Donncha O'Connor played tremendously well in the final last year, and he's brought that form into the league and the championship this year. He's been Cork's outstanding forward so far. Tremendous point on the turn.
Declan Rooney looking to set Martin Clark in around the back. Ball just broke away from Caelan Mooney, and it's Noel O'Leary. Just look where Donncha O'Connor is now. Gone back into his own half. Cork so fit and strong and well conditioned, as Kevin McKernan takes man and ball out of the way there. No time for Down to hang around. They're 6 points down. McGinn. Back to Martin Clark, who's an awful long way from the Cork goal. Conor Laverty and Benny Coulter inside, but Clark misjudged the pass. And Paddy Kelly, who's dropped back into his own half, was there to intercept. Ball moved up the line by Owen Cotter. A foul on Fintan Gould by Caelan Mooney. Perhaps a little over-anxious to get into the game. Young man who played with the Down minor team earlier this summer. And he can have no qualms about that free.
Cork actually playing with a lot more directness today than we've seen them for a while. They're moving the ball, they're transitioning from defence to attack a lot quicker than they have in last year's championship. It's good to see that quick movement. They're running the angles of running the support lines from the half-back line, midfield, half-forward line are very, very impressive today, as opposed to Down or holding the ball up, not getting the ball quickly enough into Benny Coulter in the full forward line, and any balls that are going in over near the sideline where they're not able to penetrate and get a goal opportunity.
Donncha O'Connor decides to have a shot at goal, and it was a good decision. Well, he's a big game player. He enjoys the bases here at Croke Park, and he knows every nook and cranny. That is a goal and 5 points now. And the time has come, it seems, for the arrival of Ambrose Rogers. Great to see him back on the playing field again. He's in for Anton McArdle. Ambrose Rogers, Down captain last season, who missed the All-Ireland semi-final and final due to injury. And this is his first taste of competitive action in 2011. So he's into the down midfield. The All-Ireland champions now in control. They lead by 7 points. Fintan Gould taking the pass from O'Neill, and they're beginning to find their rhythm. A goal and 2 points for Fintan Gould, who has slotted in seamlessly to the Cork half-forward line, and they're starting to pull away.
Yeah, again, on that occasion it was Pierce O'Neill made the run forward, soloed into the defence, turned around, popped the pass back, and the last couple of points that Cork have got have been exactly the same. Players running into the defence, they're strong enough to retain the ball in the tackle, and then there's a player in support coming from behind.
And here is one of those players, Aidan Walsh. Cork have hit 4 points in succession. But the less said about that effort by Aidan Walsh, perhaps the better. But they are coming now in waves at the down goal. And once they get that far ahead, Paul, very, very difficult to reel them back in.
Well, absolutely, with the size and strength they have and the power they have around the middle of the field, it's difficult to see Down exerting some dominance there, although Ambrose Rogers is on, and it's great to see him back after his serious injury last year, and I believe he's played well in a couple of challenge matches recently, but you know, he hasn't had an awful lot of football obviously in the last 12 months, so it's a big ask for Ambrose to start to dominate around the middle of the field, which is what Down will need.
Noel O'Leary, who's been touch tight to Martin Clark right from the start, gives away a free there. And a yellow card for the Cork defender.
Well, I can only imagine that that's for persistent fouling, although I don't think he's fouled Martin too much today, because he slipped as he was going into that. It certainly wasn't a yellow card offence for that particular tackle, so I can only assume it's because of a couple of others frees he's given away.
Kick here for Martin Clark, Down needed, it's smacked off the crossbar and falls into the arms of Alan Quirk. That's twice now that Martin Clark has been denied by the upright, and it's been that sort of an evening for Down. The little things just going against them. Donegal O'Connor, once more he's out in front, being shadowed by Conor Garvey. This is Paddy Cassan. Support arrives from Paul Kerrigan. Slips past McGinn and pops it over the bar. That little touch of class from Cork. Nothing on the first time, but when they worked it to Kerrigan, he made no mistake.
Yeah, fantastic score by Paul Kerrigan again. Powerful player. Cork now just dominating, going forward in every opportunity, creating plenty of chances for the forwards, and to go 9 points ahead.
So Darren O'Hagan is in for Down. Player who's been replaced, Aidan Brannigan. James McCartan now running his bench. This game beginning to slip away from last year's beaten All-Ireland finalists. This a big step up from Down's recent qualifiers against Clare, Leitrim and Antrim. Michael Shields, commanding presence in that full back line. First chance he's had to play a little bit of football. Noel O'Leary to the totally unmarked Fintan Gould. Perfect pass. He hit the support runner right in his stride. Fiachra Lynch felt that was over the bar. The umpire did not agree. 9 wides for Cork. But again, you'd have to ask, where was the marking? Fintan Gould had all the time in the world to pick out the pass.
Yeah, and again, Cork forwards and runners are able to get into acres of space, and the Down defence has been very, very poor today, and they've gone man on man. They haven't gone with the sweeper. It's certainly impacted on their ability to close down space.
Well, that's 2 goals and 11 points from play now from Cork. By the looks of things, they've put the trials of the Munster final behind them. 20 minutes to go. They're stretching further and further in front. The lead is now 10 points. And look at this, they're getting ready to bring in Graham Canty.
Yeah, it's a very, very impressive performance by Cork today. Without some of their leading stars, losing Daniel Goulding as well in the first half, and you know, starting without their captain and talisman, Graham Canty, who's now coming on to get some game time, he can only assume, because with 10 points ahead, it looks as if they'll be certainly into the quarterfinals next week and or the week after, depending on who they're up against.
So Graham Canty from the Bantry Blues into the Cork defence for the final quarter, as Owen Cadigan, who hasn't put a foot wrong so far, comes out with that ball. Cleared away by Owen Cotter, and now Aidan Walsh, man who played with the Cork under-21 hurlers last weekend. Well, I'm sure Down and their management team planned for pretty much every eventuality coming into this match. Doubtful though, Paul, they expected to be this far behind with 20 minutes to go.
No, certainly not, but you know, you'd have to question the way they've set up in defence, a bit of naivety. As I said, they didn't go with a sweeper. Yeah, it's positive in many ways not to do that and to rely on obviously the 6 forwards that they have to play with, the orthodox 6 forwards. But you know, when you're being dominated and when you leave so much space in front of goal as they did in the first half, certainly they should have probably done something about that in the second half. But even the basic defensive skills of, you know, man-to-man marking haven't been done effectively by the Down defence today, and that'll be very, very disappointing for James McCartan and his selectors.
Graham Canty took a knock there, but he's recovered, he's okay again, as the Cork forward line throw the ball around with no shortage of confidence. Double scores in this round 4 qualifier here at Croke Park. Perfect conditions for a game of football, and Cork very much enjoying themselves as Aidan Walsh is caught by Conor McGinn. Looked like a tackle made more in frustration than anything. Had his hand up very, very high, and surely a card on the way.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. There's a lot of those high tackles that are in the game that we should get rid of. There's no doubt about that. There's no reason for a player to put the hand up and catch a player over the face as he's running by, and certainly warranted a yellow card on that occasion.
Last year's Young Footballer of the Year, Aidan Walsh, just looking a little worse for wear, and Conor McGinn, who was the 5th Down player to be booked, he's been taken out, and Paul McComiskey, man who started last year's All-Ireland final, he's in for the final quarter. Down have now used their full complement of substitutes, as Donncha O'Connor has a look at this free. He's been striking the ball really well all evening. Hasn't fluffed a line. That's a goal and 6. And I'm sure when this game is done and dusted, Cork minds will be wondering about the long-term impact and the long-term ramifications of Daniel Goulding's injury. But right now, Donncha O'Connor putting on something of an exhibition. Good ball by Dan Gordon. He's picked out McComiskey. Chance for the sub to make an early impact. And he's done just that. Good score from McComiskey. Hit 3 points here against Cork last September. And after a score like that, I'm sure Down supporters will be wondering just how he didn't start.
And he'd be wondering himself also, but I think, you know, it's the lack of quality ball that's gone into the forward line today that's been the problem for Down to some extent. But Paul McComiskey, a very, very accurate player, and did very well on that occasion. First ball, first a score, so he'll be looking for more quick ball.
That's Down's first score in some 17 minutes in this second half. They've been outscored since half-time by 7 points to 2. That's where Cork made their big push. That shot from Declan Rooney, always heading away from the target. A quarter of an hour to go. Cork 10 points in front. Possession won by Mark Poland. He's got a loose man to his right. He's picked him out. Chance perhaps for Rooney. Slipped inside to McComiskey. And the substitute takes his second point. They were sniffing for the goal. There was a half chance of it, but McComiskey had to be content with a point.
Yeah, Declan Rooney there, I suppose, thought about having a go for a goal, but he saw the big frame of Graham Canty come in front of him and passed it outside to Paul McComiskey. Once he did that, the chance for a goal was gone because the angle was too tight and McComiskey could do nothing except put the ball over the bar. But his first 2 touches in the game, McComiskey, and he's got 2 points.
Michael Duffy from Sligo has already handed out 8 yellow cards this evening. And if there's a 9th coming for Martin Clark, then he's in real trouble. He was booked early on in this match. 2 yellows make a red. And could this evening get any worse for Down? Martin Clark sent off. John Miskela means we're now in double figures for yellow cards. But a big ask for Down, Paul, just got a whole lot bigger. Down to 14 men, and their main man sent to the line.
Yes, and I have to say I didn't see that incident. Was clearly off the ball, and Martin Clark was gesturing to the umpire as to what the hell it was all about. So he was obviously unsure as to why he got the yellow. But Down are down to 14 men and have a monumental task now with 13 minutes left. 9 points down, and dominated around the middle of the field. Need to create goal opportunities, goal chances very, very quickly to get back in this game.
So Cork will have an extra man for the final 13 minutes as Kerrigan slips it through to Canty. This would surely finish it. And the 3-time All-Star takes his point.
And the last time Graham Canty was in that position was in the All-Ireland quarter-final against Roscommon last year, and as he was about to fist the ball over the bar, I think he did fist the ball over the bar, he pulled his hamstring for the semi-final and for the final also. Maybe that was going through his head and he slowed up as he punched the ball over the bar, but it's getting far too easy for Cork at this stage.
10 points between the sides again. Dan Gordon left the ball behind just as he prepared to break the line. And there's so much space now up there in front of the Down goal that you'd have to fear for them if Cork can work this into the scoring zone. Miskela up to O'Connor. Tracking his run was Conor Garvey. This is Paddy Kelly. That Cork forward line still moving constantly. Donogh O'Connor brought that ball into the tackle. Good defending by Conor Garvey. Benny Coulter, who's drifted back the field now to try and get on the ball. To Caelan Mooney. Coulter. Alan O'Connor and Owen Cadigan both snapping at his heels. Down forced backwards. Mark Poland. Well, really, the longer this game goes on, the more the 2 first-half goals from Donogh O'Connor and Fintan Gould really do jump off the scoreboard. Huge moments in this match. Last year's All-Ireland final didn't throw up any goals. This evening, though, Cork found the gaps. They made Down pay, and Aidan Walsh has finally got that score that he's been searching for all through this second half.
Cork substitution.
Conor Coonahan deciding to run his bench. Player who's coming in is number 21, Mark Collins. This is his championship debut, and who played under-21 hurling with Cork last year. Won an All-Ireland under-21 football medal 2 years ago. And Aidan Walsh is out of the match after kicking that point. 10 minutes to go. And Cork, Paul, getting more and more impressive the longer this game.
Yeah, and what's positive for Cork as well is that the fringe players who have come in have done very well. Fintan Gould done well. Owen Cadigan, obviously, who hasn't played an awful lot of football because of his hurling commitments. Owen Cotter, they've all done very, very well, and that'll be very pleasing. And it's important for Cork if they're to win back-to-back All-Ireland titles, that because they've lost a couple of their key, I suppose, first-choice players.
Ten wides for Cork now. They've scored 2-13 from play, though. Hit 2-9 in the first half here. And really, in hindsight, it was always going to be an uphill struggle for Down. Darren O'Hagan in there scrapping for possession.
And Cork have now dropped Graham Canty back in front of Michael Shields. Batten down the hatches, not going to give away, aiming not to give away any goals at this stage.
Mark Poland, good run, slips it through. This is a chance for Rodgers. He'll have to be content with the point. Ambrose Rodgers, he came storming through the centre. A rueful look from James McCartan. If Down were to have any chance, they needed that to hit the back of the net. That's a first point of the season for Ambrose Rodgers. But Cork still in complete control. Mark Collins popping it through to the unmarked Miskela. Broke the first tackle, managed to swing a boot at it, and it arcs up and over the bar. When it's been that kind of an evening for Cork, Miskela falling over, still managed to loop it up and over the bar. Cork find themselves 11 points in front. And really, runners coming, Paul, from here, there and everywhere.
And I think that epitomised the difference in some ways between the two teams. A minute before that, Ambrose Rodgers went on a run, had a goal opportunity, but you could see 4 Cork defenders back blocking his way. On that occasion, John Miskela comes up from defence, one-on-one with the defender, and was able to spin, and Down didn't have enough defenders back, and they haven't had, from the start of the game, they really haven't protected the full back line in the way that a lot of the top teams do, and that was to their downfall. And Donncha O'Connor on the full forward line, indeed all of the Cork forwards, have exploited that weakness today.
Well, Cork have just brought in their 5th sub, Ray Carey, and with 7 minutes to go, they are cruising into the quarter-final draw. And it's good a time as any to hear from the studio and Peter Canavan.
Yes, Mike, unfortunately this game is probably over 10 minutes into the second half. Cork outscored Down in that period 6 points to 1. And even bringing on of Ambrose Rodgers and Cialan Mooney has offered little. And I suppose a feature of Cork's play is that when they do win the ball, Down have offered no resistance, and they're able to break through and set up quality ball for an inspired Donncha O'Connor and Paul Kerrigan up front.
Some shouts there from Down for a penalty, but waved away by Michael Duffy. Not interested. And Martin Clark, a penny for his thoughts. It's been a very, very hard evening for him. Had Noel O'Leary for company, booked twice, and his evening over a lot earlier than he would have wished. Well, we spoke a couple of weeks ago, Paul, about Kildare making a statement of intent. What about Cork this evening? The All-Ireland champions back on track by the looks of things.
Yeah, back on track, and very impressive. We're able to bring the form that they showed in the second half Munster final against Kerry into the game as well, and a particularly good first half, which hasn't been a feature obviously of Cork's performances against the top teams over the last year. And again, the difference today as well is that when they got their goal chances, they got 3 goal chances in the first half, they took 2 of them, and you know, that gave them the cushion at half-time to be able to just dominate Cork or Down in the second half. And very, very impressive display. 20 scores, a lot of them from play. You know, signalling serious intent. And nobody will want to see them, none of the provincial champions will want to see them next week when the draw is made tomorrow evening.
Another yellow card for Down. And a wide. Well, Mark Poland, well might he shake his head. That's a couple of frees that he hasn't struck the way he would have wanted, and it's been a very sobering evening for James McCartan and his team.
Yeah, it's back to the drawing board for James. Like there were suggestions that Down this year didn't have the same, I suppose, mission or desire that they had last year. It was evident in the first game against Armagh. They grinded their way, I suppose, through the qualifiers, but here today, certainly they're not a shadow of the team they were last year, and you would expect that with Ambrose Rogers back fit and some more options that they would have improved, but they've certainly gone back based on this display, and that'll be very, very disappointing to James McCartan.
So Cork now, for them it's just a matter of running down the clock and negotiating their way without any injuries to the next 4 or 5 minutes. Player coming through the centre there, just trying to gloss the final scoreline, was Mark Collins, looking for his first score in senior championship football. Instead, 12 wides. And Paul Early, it's been an interesting evening to say the least. A pretty one-sided second half. So I'm sure everybody wondering who your selection is for man of the match from this round 4 qualifier.
Well, I think all of the contenders obviously were from Cork, and there were 3 in the main. I thought Alan O'Connor was terrific in the middle of the field. Fintan Gould as well had a fantastic game at wing half forward. But in terms of overall contribution, not only on the scoreboard, but also in general play and in assists and showing leadership, again, Donnacha O'Connor, a fantastic performance. 1-6 today, 3 points from 1 goal and 3 points from play. Scored one of the best goals we've seen during the year. A fantastic pass from Daniel Goulding and a sublime finish. And again, his performances this year, or his performances since the All-Ireland final last year, have been outstanding, and deservingly gets man of the match today.
So Donnacha O'Connor from Ballydesmond is Paul's selection for man of the match, as Conor Laverty for something to bring home with him this evening, and that's his first point. A token gesture, though, at this late stage in the match. Cork tipping along, 10 points in front. And while Cork have been impressive offensively, Paul, in terms of scores from play, a reshuffled defence, well, they shut down very impressively, didn't they?
Oh, they certainly did, and I was really impressed by their half-back line. Their attacking focus right throughout the game has been good to watch, and Owen Cadigan, we know how good a player he is. Obviously his first priority is with the hurling team, and when he comes back, and obviously he's Cork been out of the hurling championship, he'll be able to devote all his energies to the football team at this stage. Always does very well. Tight defender Michael Shields, another player who continues to grow in confidence, has played tremendously well last year, got an All-Star award, and continues his 5 form. So Cork very, very hard to break down in that defence, and if Canty is fully fit, they will be very difficult to penetrate.
That point from Paddy Kelly a moment ago brings Cork's tally from open play to 215 in this match. It's all over bar the shouting here at Croke Park. A crowd just over 30,000 were here a little while ago. Well, Down had been struggling to find their true form during the early stages of the qualifiers. Lucky to survive against Clare down in Ennis. Stuttered for a while against Leitrim. Dispatched Antrim fairly impressively all right last weekend, but never really got going this evening. We'll have at least 1 minute of additional time at the end of this match as the seagulls start to move in over our heads here at Croke Park. The shadows starting to lengthen as Cork play keep ball. Mark Collins to the only man inside, O'Connor. Back to Kassan. As good as a score at this late stage.
Added time at least 1 minute.
Well, they were third favourites to retain their All-Ireland title before this evening's match. You'd have to think that the odds would have shortened quite considerably after this performance. Cork, one of the main contenders. Paul Kerrigan and Conor Laverty just getting involved there. Cork have won the free, and it looks like another card on the way.
Yeah, and while Cork have been very, very dominant today, they will be very worried about the injury to Daniel Goulding, because not only is he a fabulous footballer and their chief scorer over the last couple of years, but he also is their main free taker on the right-hand side. And while Donegal O'Connor has been excellent from frees today, on the left or in the middle, losing, we all remember Daniel Goulding's 3 45s in a row last year, which ultimately won the All-Ireland for Cork. So they cannot afford, any team with All-Ireland aspirations cannot afford to lose players of the calibre of, as I said, Kieran Sheehan last few weeks ago in the Munster final, and Daniel Goulding from that forward line. It's very, very hard to replace those players.
A goal and 7 points for the man of the match, Donegal O'Connor. Michael Duffy says enough is enough, and the defending champions sail through to the All-Ireland quarter-finals. Very, very impressive. Fenton Gould's first half goal setting them on their way, and Down in the second half really had no answer to Donegal O'Connor and his comrades up front. They most certainly haven't gone away. They've bounced back from their Munster final defeat very impressively. Alan O'Connor giving them a foothold at midfield, and really Down second best for most of the evening. It's finished here at Croke Park. Cork 2 goals and 20 points, Down 14 points.
What odds now on Cork retaining the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship? We'll be discussing that after this.
Experience more. Aircon, proud sponsor of the GAA Football Championship.
To Arthur. To Arthur. To Arthur. To Martha. To Martha. To farmers. To farmers. To Martians. Yeah. To Martians. Chihuahua. To Martha.
Join the Arthur's Day celebrations at 1759 on the 22nd of September.
Stay in touch with friends all summer with the prepaid smartphones from Upgrade Today. O2, together is better.
Let's play with paint and in the mud. We can build what's needed with nails and wood. Why not turn some strangers into friends and work together to fix and mend? You can play with passion and play with heart, but most of all, just play your part.
Looking nifty 50. Need a number nifty? Call 11850.
To celebrate the release of their brilliant new album live in France, Rodrigo and Gabriella return to Ireland for an intimate show under canvas in Marley Park on Sunday, July 31st. Special guests C6 Steve and Gemma Hayes. Rodrigo y Gabriella, the gig, the album, don't miss it.
New Milk Chocolate Crave. Crunchy, but now with a devilishly smooth milk chocolate centre. Chocolate will never be safe again. New Milk Chocolate Crave. Chocky chocky.
All prize bonds have magical power. They can come to life. Thousands of cash prizes are won every week, and €1 million every month. And what's more, you can always have your money back. Prize bonds. You can sleep soundly, and you can still dream.
Meet Chimp 9. We gave him a cure to Alzheimer's.
Oh, he's a smart one, isn't he?
Cognitive skills far exceed that of a human counterpart.
You are going nowhere, mister! Stay right there!
Check out this guy.
Stupid monkey. We'll learn who's boss soon enough.
Get the new Red Carpet Glossy Celebrity Magazine free with the Irish Mail on Sunday. All the stars, all the stories. Red Carpet free with the Irish Mail on Sunday.
Come on, lads. The club needs the money.
Less talking, more scrubbing.
Ulster Bank GAA Force, helping your club matters.
Earlier today here in Croke Park, Kildare beat Derry by 19 points to 13. The latest scores we have in the qualifiers are Tyrone 1-7 against 6 points for Armagh at half-time, and Wexford and Limerick drawing 9 points each is the latest score that we have. But what about our match here today? We have seen the All-Ireland champions Cork, who of course last year won by a point, win by a commanding score. Totally in command of the possession, 58% of the possession. But just have a look at the yellow cards in this game. 5 for Cork, 8 for Down, and of course 1 red card, which of course was Down, Marty Clark on the Down team, who was sent off. Let's have a look as well now at some of the strike zones in today's game. And a comprehensive of the 220 for Cork, 215 came from play, which was a fantastic performance. So the half-forward line getting very much involved. Fintan Gould in for Kieran Sheehan, will be very happy with his 1-2. And of course a man-of-the-match performance for Donegal Connor, 1 goal and 7 points for him. And then from the subs bench as well, a point from Graham Canty, who of course was left out of the team, and surprisingly, but he came on as a sub and he scored a point. On the Down side, let's have a look at the scores on what Down must be very disappointed with the ease of which they were taken apart. Some of the scores, Poland missing quite a few chances during the game as well, and Marty Clark I think will be very, very disappointed with the circumstances in which he was sent off. Of course, the return as well for Ambrose Rogers to the team. And let's have a brief look at the timeline, because you can just see there, particularly in the second half, it was just dominant by Cork the whole way through as they reeled off the points, and Down made many substitutions early in the second half to no avail whatsoever. Because it was very much the case, Peter, wasn't it, early in the second half, a surge from Cork which took the game out of Down's reach.
Yeah, it was a surge from Cork. I think it was, 6-1 in that 10-15 minute period. But Down did have a chance, and Alan Quirk pulled off a brilliant save. And once that happened, I felt Down's heads dropped big time. But a feature of Cork's play was any time that they won possession, be it in their defence or be it in midfield, when they came forward, Down offered very little resistance. They were able to break through so easily and give measured passes into the inside forward.
Yeah, one of the criticisms I had from this Cork team in recent times is that, you know, they've used this ploy of slow lateral hand passing across the middle of the park, and they don't let it into the full forward line, and the full forward line has been redundant very often in big matches. That wasn't the case here today. They used a brisk offloading game, always to a man the shoulder. When they got to around the midfield half forward position, they let it in good and fast, pacey ball into space. And with a classy forward like Donegal O'Connor, who's on his game, you have to get the ball to him, and he was one of a number of Cork forwards I think today that stood up and was counted, and you know, they put to bed this idea that they're slow starters.
But Peter, was there a certain naivety in the way that Down defended?
There was, you compare Benny Coulter, any time that he got the ball, compare him to Donnacha O'Connor, any time Benny got the ball, there was 2 Cork men on him right away, every time, and whatever way he turned, he was being tackled, and as a result, he had to play it out. You know, any time Donnacha got the ball, at times he was able to turn around, just take on his own man and have a go.
Well, let's have a look more at him, because we did highlight him before the game as a key player for Cork. And what about this goal?
Yeah, well, I suppose James would be disappointed with McCartan, the cornerback, to give someone like Donnacha O'Connor that much space inside the 14-metre line. But Down had a similar chance to start the second half, and
Peter Fitzpatrick
hit it exactly at the right height for the goalkeeper to save it, and that's what you get for hitting it low and hard.
Well, Donegal O'Connor knows where the posts are, Matt, and that's it. When he's on his game, he's going to turn.
Well, let's hear from the man of the match, Donegal O'Connor. Well, we're not hearing. We just come back and talk a little bit more about the injury to Daniel Goulding, because Cork have already lost Kieran Sheehan, Colm O'Neill, and now Daniel Goulding. We don't know how seriously injured he is. Is that the main concern coming out of this game for them?
It's going to be a massive blow, because we don't realistically know how good this downside was. Looking at that second half performance, you know, they were in a different class compared to this Cork team. They were way down the line, Division 2 versus Division 1 side, realistically. And Daniel Goulding is a player that we know his form. He's key from place balls, but he also adds an extra dimension in there from play. He can kick the ball over the bar from anywhere with that left boot, and he takes a lot of the workload off Donegal O'Connor when he's playing beside him, and I think they have a telepathic relationship.
Well, I'm told we do now have that interview with Donegal O'Connor.
Well, the GA man of the match from today's game is Cork's Donegal O'Connor. Donegal, congratulations. I suppose it finished up easier than you would have expected out there, but during the first half it was a tough battle.
Yeah, first half was tough, all right. It was kind of score for score, really, I suppose. We got in for a goal, I suppose. That just kept us that little bit ahead, but you know, any point that we got, they got, or vice versa. Like, so it was kind of fierce close in the first half. And as I said, I suppose the goal just kept our noses in front, like, so there wasn't much in it.
Talk to us about Daniel Goulding's pass for your own goal, some ball.
It was usually Daniel shoots from there, but no, it was a great ball in fairness, and I didn't even break my stride, so that made it all the more easier. So I suppose I just kind of kept it low and I went in really, and you know, some days they'll go in and some days they don't, so they went in today, so I think that's what kept us ahead, really.
I suppose people always talk about the strength of the Cork panel. It was really tested today with the likes of Colm O'Neill and Kieran already out, with Daniel going off and then Barry O'Driscoll going off as well.
Yeah, you know, since the month's final, Kieran, with his injury, and Colm's been out all season, like, and I suppose Nicholas Murphy's still out injured. He started off the season well enough, but now he's injured again, and Barry came on and seemed to get on a good bit of balls, you know, in his corner. He was winning 2 or 3 balls, and next thing he got a belt into the hedge, really. I think it was more accidental than anything. He kind of turned into it, but he had to go off then, like, so Fiacre came on, like, and I suppose, you know, you need a strong panel, and you know, it's being tested now, and you know, you need it to be tested in games like this in Croke Park. There's no point in having a panel unless you're going to use it, so I think we're doing okay that way.
How important was it to put in such a performance today, especially given the first half against Kerry the last day?
Yeah, I suppose it's very important. You know, we were very disappointed with the Kerry game, really, even though I suppose we did okay in the first 10 minutes in Killarney, and we did okay in the second half, and it was just the 20-25 minutes that Kerry really punished us. You know, when we gave the ball away too easy, we didn't do what we said we'd do, and you know, when you give Kerry that much room, they're going to punish you hard, like, and that's what they did. And we just try to learn from what we did wrong in Killarney, really, and we put it to good use there today, like. But you know, we're back at it again now next week, like, so you know, just we don't know who we're going to get, so we just have to put the heads down again for another week.
Disappointing night, of course, as well for Down, compounded by the sending off of Marty Clark. Will we see him in a Down jersey again? We'll discuss that and more after this.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
Hi, Scott Campbell here. Welcome to the weather with Budweiser Ice Cold. All this, the hotter the day, the less you pay wherever you are in Ireland. So, for example, say it's a sizzling 18 degrees in Galway. You'll save a refreshing €2 off your pint. Nice. All you need is this, the Index app. So check for daily updates. Go grab some Budweiser Ice Cold and queue up some pals. Easy breezy. The hotter the day, the less you pay.
There's now a clever way to pay. The new O2 Money Card. Put your money on it and never spend more than what's on your card. Use it on all the things that you love the most. Anywhere you see the Visa sign, even online. When your money is gone, just top it up again. Your money is now in your hands. The new O2 Money Card. O2. Together is better.
It's here. Now 79. 2 CDs, 44 massive chart smashes. 79 with an incredible 10 number ones.
I'm glad you came.
Now 79. Now that's what I call music.
Announcing the grand opening of Cost Plus Sofas in Tullamore and Castlebar. All Cost Plus Sofa stores are celebrating with thousands of grand opening offers. Sofas from €199 and buy the room, get the TV. See you at Cost Plus Sofas.
Introducing Samsung's Eco Bubble technology, a system that generates bubbles to penetrate fabrics faster, providing washing results even at lower temperatures. Samsung Eco Bubble, wash at lower temperatures. Energy.
I wanna make you smile. Put your hands in mine. Look around you, just this way. Look around you.
He made a promise on the grave of his parents to rid the city of the criminals who took their lives. By day, he is Bruce Wayne. By night, he is Batman. Join Batman as he battles the supervillains in a multi-million-dollar arena show. Thrilling stunts, illusions, death-defying acrobatics. Batman live at the O2 Dublin from September 28th for 6 shows only. Tickets are on sale now. For more, go to batmanlive.com.
When you pick up the Star, you're getting an Irish view on things from journalists who are true sports fans just like you. Channeling the spirit of Gaelic games, we've Davy Fitz and Martin McHugh. And if horses set your pulse racing, read Europe's top tipster, Kieran O'Connell. While Eddie Hobbs makes the most of your money, Michael O'Toole is at the front line of Irish crime. And on Celeb Watch, Georgia Salpa reveals all. On every page, in every way, it's part of what we are. We're the Star, and we're better because we're Irish.
Do Africa, do Asia, do Europe. Do transfer money to over 200 countries and territories right around the globe. And do it reliably. Do money transfer with Western Union at your post office.
Experience more. Aircom, proud sponsor of the GAA Football Championship.
There are many disappointed Don people after Cork's big and comfortable victory. Here's the Don manager, James McCartan.
Well, James, huge commiserations. Can you explain to us how the mood in the dressing room inside right now?
Well, it's huge disappointment out there, but with no complaints about the result. But we're obviously hugely disappointed in the manner of the result. And floodgates sort of opened at half time. We were 5 down. We were disappointed with the 2 goals, obviously, but we just couldn't seem to be able to stop the runners coming through from half back or whatever. So, look, the second half was a non-event and just disappointed probably for the supporters and the players.
You did have a goal chance early in that second half, and Alan Cork pulled off a great save. Could have made a difference had it gone in.
Yeah, if Pete had went on another 3, if we took another toe tap out of it and went on a wee bit closer, or passed it across the net. But these are all what ifs, you know, on the balance of the game. We certainly can't have any complaints. Nothing went for us, but you make your own luck, and you know, Cork at the end, like, obviously overwhelmed us.
Is it too early to have any thoughts about your own position as down manager at the moment?
Well, look, I suppose after a defeat like that, you're always thinking about that. If I'd known you're asking that question, I wouldn't have come out for the interview. I'll know what'll happen for again.
Well, look, thanks very much for coming in and talking to us, James.
All right, thank you.
Well, I suppose Don came from nowhere last year, but they seem to be going backwards at a rate of knots, Peter, and could it get worse now with the loss of some big players?
Yeah, you can go back to the Armagh game in the athletic grounds, because Down were well set up to win that, and that knocked the stuffing out of them, getting well beat by Armagh. And it looks like he's going to lose a couple of players from this panel. Of course, it's well highlighted that Marty Clark is going to head out, and also a very young prospect in Keelan Mooney has signed a contract out there as well. So, you know, it's a sad sight to see. You expect Down, when they come down here to Croke Park, to put up great performances, but with 20 minutes to go, the supporters were walking out through the gates of the night.
And Senators Marty Clark started well, and he tried to lay down a marker with Noel O'Leary, but perhaps trying to set down markers, was that part of his problem tonight?
Yeah, I think it led to a little bit of frustration. We know he's a key player, but he got involved with Noel O'Leary early on, and I think when Noel O'Leary came back, he was like a man possessed. There was no way he was going to let Marty Clark get his hands on any ball. I think it just led to a lot of frustration in Marty Clark's game for the finish. Then he got a second yellow card for something that seemed fairly innocuous, and
but we didn't see it. I mean, this is the thing with Peter, I suppose.
Well, all credit to the umpires and linesmen. Obviously, they're on their game, as we know, because we didn't pick it up on picture, and he got the second yellow card he was involved in, and he ends up sitting on the bench.
Yeah, I think it has to be. There's a word of warning has to go out to any young fellas thinking about going out to Australia and thinking that if they come back in a year or two, they're going to, you know, play great football, great Gaelic. There's two different types of games. Clark has come back. He's really bulked up himself, and he's made to play Aussie rules. A few years back, he was much lighter, he was much faster. When he got the ball, he was prepared to take on his immediate opponent, and he was scoring more. And it's a different individual we've seen since he's come back.
But of course, Michael Shields came back, and he's doing a hell of a good job in the Cork backline. You know, the last time Cork won in Ireland, back-to-back 89 and 90, so how well placed are they now to do the same again this time?
They're certainly very well placed, and the evidence of that performance, and realistically in the second half, they just worked their way up through the gears. You know, their game plan just worked perfectly for them as well, and I think they were playing for places that we really said as the game went on there in the second half.
And the Kerry defeat, could that actually not have worked to their benefit?
Well, it spurred them on, I think, today, but, you know, Shannon's right in that, you know, I think Donnacha mentioned that they really tested the strength of their panel. Their panel wasn't tested tonight. Conor Coonan is none the wiser as to how good his bench are on big occasions. In the last 20 minutes, he brought on a raft of subs. Shannon could have came on and scored a few points.
What about Graham Canty, who he left out? His captain was dropped off. If he was injured, why did he come in the second half?
I don't think he was injured. I think he was dropped. He played poorly against Kerry, and I think Coonan made a big move by placing him on the bench, and it was a sign of confidence in his other players by doing that. And the fact that he brought on Canty would indicate that he wasn't injured, otherwise he wouldn't have brought him on.
Well, just to remind you, we're back tomorrow here on 3 with the first of this year's All-Ireland quarter-finals as the hurlers of Dublin and Limerick meet in Thurles. Our programme starts at 1:30. And of course, it's not all about live coverage here on 3. GAA is covered on the 5:30 News Daily, on our website, tv3.ie, and every Friday on the GAA show, which you can see at 6:30 on 3E, with a repeat later here on 3. And for those of you looking ahead to next weekend, we have another chance now for you to enter our competition. TV3, in association with Ulster Bank, official sponsors of the GAA Senior Football Championship, is giving you the chance to win 2 tickets for the All-Ireland Senior Football quarter-final of your choice. To be a chance to win this prize, text GAA to 57199 and answer the following question when it's returned. Who did Cork beat in last year's All-Ireland Senior Football final? Was it Derry or Dublin? You must be over 18 to enter, and terms and conditions apply. And so, the All-Ireland champions move on, and few teams will want to meet them in the quarter-finals, with their sights set on back-to-back titles. My thanks to Peter and Senan for being with us in headquarters tonight, and to all of you at home for watching. So until tomorrow at 1:30 for the hurling, a very
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
Looking nifty 50. Need a number nifty? Call 11850.
We are the people. We are exclusives. Showbiz. puzzles, sport, including a free Football League pullout. We Are the People, this Sunday.
Freshly prepared for you. Introducing the new Classic Beef, part of the delicious range of wraps from McDonald's. They're too tasty to put down.
Welcome to the party, pal.
They'll be coming. Everyone get ready.
Next time you have a chance to kill someone, don't hesitate.
Thanks for the advice. All I Want to Watch is Die Hard. Tonight at 9:15 on 3.
For the next 5 nights, expect the unexpected. L'aurora di bianco.
Behave yourself.
Meow. I think you're going to like what we've got on the menu.
Potatoes are raw, your onions are raw, your peppers are raw. I have a lot of enemies. I don't know if I would actually serve that to the worst one of them.
It's not the Adele show, it's the Loud Head Chef.
Only one celebrity in his kitchen is me.
Welcome to Celebrity Head Chef.
Conrad is back and the knives are out. Starts Monday at 9:30 on 3.
One for movie lovers later tonight here on 3 with edge-of-the-seat action, high-speed stunts and a few cheesy Hollywood lines thrown in from Bruce Willis. Die Hard is our Saturday movie later at 9:15. Before that, though, it's Take Me Out UK.
TV3.ie/dating, helping you find your perfect match.